Hello everyone, welcome to Real Crime Explained. Today we'll be discussing Korea's latest female psychopath, who has been making headlines. People are surprised at how eerie and enigmatic this case remains despite the fact that she seems so young. I mean, she's the least likely suspect in the case of a murderer. And we're going to get deep into what psychologists believe she's struggling with and who she truly is. Some are comparing her to the Jung Yu-Jeong case, which was a separate story that swept the Korean media a few years ago because they have the same name. Her name is Jung Yu-Jeong and the suspect's name now is Jung Yu-Jeong. They're both girls that have been labeled as psychopaths. Because some instances are not available in English, I spend a significant amount of time translating them and presenting them to you because it is critical to discuss global cases. So, if you want to help support this true crime and mystery channel, remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Simply run the program and leave a comment below on what you thought about today's case. It truly motivates me to keep going. So let's start with the fundamentals of today's case. Her age is 23 years. This girl appears to be extremely peaceful and unthreatening to me. Perhaps it's the glasses. Perhaps it's the hairstyle. Even when it comes to female psychopaths or killers, there are certain types of persons that you can image in your brain. Jung Yu-Jeong would then be using a tutoring app. These tutoring apps are now highly popular among parents. It's similar to a dating app for teachers. You can simply find a tutor, a babysitter, or whatever you require. These apps are used and the teachers who use them are certified. They have the resume on there, It's a pretty professional application that a lot of people in Korea use. Jung Yu-Jeong would now create a profile and claim to be the mother of a teenage daughter in middle school who needed a tutor to help her prepare for high school. She now claimed that her daughter was 14 years old and was expressly looking for an English teacher. According to what I've heard, the way these tutoring apps work is that teachers can DM you or you can DM teachers by looking at profiles depending on what you're looking for. According to what we know, Yu-Jeong was the one who DM'd this tutor named Kim on the app. She was 26 years old and claimed to be able to teach English and college-level curriculums. Here is some of the disclosed dialogue, and it's back and forth about what to teach the child. What days the tutor was available. And at one point, Yu-Jeong would ask the tutor, "Do you live alone?" Eventually, the tutor and Yu-Jeong would agree to meet on a specific day, and she would send her teenage daughter to the tutor's house so they could have a session there. So first and foremost, Yu-Jeong was the one who combed through the profiles of which tutors and victims she wanted to prey on. Kim, the victim, was regarded by her friends as brilliant, concerned, and someone who listened to your issues. She was an excellent listener. One of her friends even remarked she was someone from whom you could learn a lot, so you could tell what kind of energy this tutor possessed. She also tutored since she wanted to earn money for herself and reduce her parents' allowances. In Korea, you still live with your parents, especially if you're a woman. You're still receiving allowance in your 20s, so it's a quite common occurrence. And she was just such a hardworking, innocent victim. Here's a CCTV from May 26th. Around 4 p.m., Yu-Jeong would put on a middle school outfit and go to her tutor as if she were her daughter. It's disgusting, but can you image this woman? Again, she doesn't appear to be menacing, but she pretended to be her daughter. She may have taken a uniform from somewhere, perhaps a middle school uniform. She didn't even appear to be dressed normally. She literally dressed like she was in middle school to accomplish this. She'd walk inside the tutor's flat around 5:34 p.m. and left at 6 p.m. after about an hour. Though we don't know exactly how it happened, she would murder the victim. And we'll get to what the autopsy revealed in a second, but this girl is not who you think she is. Yu-Jeong was strange in that she left the apartment and went to 2 different supermarkets near her house. So it was roughly a 20-minute drive between the tutor's house and Yu-Jeong's actual house where she resided with her grandfather. So she went to the grocery and bought bags, a knife, and cleaning materials in order to dispose of the body, which is intriguing because she did not do this beforehand. It was as though she had done this afterward, which is intriguing. She then went to the second grocery to get waste bags. She would then return to the tutor's apartment, then to her house, I assume to fetch a suitcase, and then back to the tutor's place. She went back and forth 3 times to the victim's house. Yu-Jeong would then place some of the body pieces in a rubbish bag and throw it away, while the remainder would be stuffed into the suitcase she had prepared. This happened around May 27th, 12 a.m. on my birthday, which I can't believe happened. Finally, with her luggage full, she would dress in the victim's clothes and take a taxi to a river near her residence. She'd dress up in the victim's clothes, you guys. It was as though she were taking on the role of the victim. A quick aside, professionals who assessed her behavior concluded she had no remorse. She was really calm. She seemed to be moving back and forth from her residence as if it were hers. She was acting quite normal. Again, no need to panic. There's a certain way about her gait, and she walks about as if she's going to the playground or something. Professionals say this is quite unique because even psychopaths, they generally panic. They normally do not travel back and forth to avoid being recorded on CCTV because they are aware of what they have just done. Yu-Jeong, on the other hand, is unique. There's nothing about her that suggests she was rushing either. Now, when she got the taxi, and this is one of the rumors that circulated in the media, there was significant speculation that the cab driver got blood on his hands while assisting with the bag. However, this turned out to be inaccurate. Yu-Jeong slid the suitcase into the trunk and exited. The cab driver was of no assistance. She carried the baggage out of the trunk herself once they arrived to the river. She vanished somewhere in the deep river. She removed the corpse parts and returned the luggage. Now the taxi driver claims that after dropping her off, he took a cigarette break and realized something was wrong because it was so late at night. By the way, this is not a river where you can go for a picnic or a bike ride. If you look at the photographs, this is hardly a place you go to do anything at 1 a.m. The cab driver had a strange feeling that she was going to return. So he waited around 15 to 20 minutes and noticed Yu-Jeong had returned. According to police, Yu-Jeong did not recognize the taxi and requested, "Hey, can you offer me a ride?" That's when the cab driver stated he phoned the cops because he suspected something wasn't right, despite the fact that he didn't see any body bits or blood. He did admit that the luggage appeared to be lighter when she was driving it than when she got off. Now the cops have arrived. I'm not sure how the cab driver persuaded her to stay until the cops arrived. However, when the police arrived, they requested that the luggage be checked. They opened it and found nothing inside, but they did see some blood streaks within. When they asked her questions like, "What is this?" Yu-Jeong explained, "Oh, I'm menstruating and I have menstruation blood on it." And the cops noticed something strange. So they called an ambulance and took her to the hospital. Now we arrive to the eerie, odd environment in which Yu-Jeong resides. They demonstrated in the hospital that she had no signs of menstruation or spotting. And then she said that she had gotten rid of a baby. She had a baby on her own and decided to abandon it. That's why she has blood on her hands. So doctors performed an ultrasound on her uterus and discovered that she had not given birth in the previous days or hours. So it was another insane lie she told. This is when she was escorted to the police station for questioning, when she delivered her first evidence. Initially, she told a bizarre scenario in which she claimed that when she arrived to the tutor's residence, there was already a suspect who had unalived her. The suspect then said to Yu-Jeong, "Hey, if you keep it a secret and dispose of the body for me, I'll let you live in the victim's identity." When the cops realized it was a crazy, weird story, she modified it to that she was terrified of being an adult and looking like an English instructor was embarrassing. So she pretended to be a middle school student and went to the tutor's residence where they argued about the curriculum. So she became enraged and vowed to assassinate her right then and there. Yu-Jeong ultimately confessed, saying that what she really wanted to know was what it felt like to unalive someone. According to the autopsy and the victim, Yu-Jeong stabbed this woman over 20 times, mostly on her neck and chest, and professionals believe that her only goal was to go there and kill someone quickly rather than seeing someone's reaction or taking her anger out on someone. Her sole reason for going there was to murder someone. And as you know, pre-planning and acting in the heat of the moment are two very distinct charges. So you have to carefully assess whether or not this was pre-planned, not to mention that she did not flee the scene. She literally returned 3 times to clean up and dispose of the body. In addition, if you look at the CCTV tape, you'll notice that she cropped her hair purposely to look like a middle school student. Not only was she dressed in middle school clothing, but she also cropped her hair to do all of this, as though everything had been pre-planned in her head. Because police felt that this person was obviously threatening, they decided to lawfully expose her identity again. People were astounded at what she looked like, how young she was, and what was going on inside her head. When she was detained in front of the media, she said, quote, "I'm sorry to the victim's family. I'll be thorough during the interrogation. Thank you very much." And you get to hear her voice for the first time, and she just sounds regular. It doesn't sound like she's stuttering or has some sort of, issue. There are no vocal cracks, no fright, nothing. She appears to be perfectly normal. That almost didn't seem natural for her to say that, but it was something she practiced, and we'll go over that more later. So let's look at why this case is so perplexing and what might be going on inside this woman's psyche. So Yu-Jeong had no previous criminal history, strange actions, or anything else that anyone reported. It's hard to believe Yu-Jeong would attack someone her age, a 26-year-old lady. This was intriguing because normally suspects would choose someone lesser than them. For example, this is why many men would overpower girls, inflicting harm on the elderly or children, someone weaker than you. Yu-Jeong, on the other hand, chose someone her age or younger. Yu-Jeong does not appear to be extremely tall and appears to be physically fit, so choosing someone who could have overpowered her or who could have been in the same power struggle as her was also intriguing. The second factor was her appearance. Let's be honest about it. She appears to be a nice, non-threatening girl, the type you find studying at the library or a cafe. But you never expect someone like her to have such dark ideas and plot anything like this. Yu-Jeong did not just contact this woman, Kim, it was later revealed. She called several people, and it just so happened that Kim was the one who helped them get this arrangement so swiftly. Other instructors came forward to claim they had been approached by her, and here is some of the chat. Do you live by yourself? For the next 2 weeks, I'm seeking for a tutor for my kid. Can we tutor you at your home? Now, one of the tutors said she almost answered yes, but she said no to the part about tutoring in her apartment because she lived in a one-room apartment that was very small. There was no desk available. So if she got a bigger house to invite people to, she stated she would have probably said yes to tutoring because she obviously needed a job and the money. Another woman stated that she was approached by Yu-Jeong, and one of the questions she was asked was, "Do you live alone?" At the moment, it is believed that she preyed on persons her age as well. So tutors in their 20s, tutors who seemed to be in need of money, tutors who weren't married, they lived alone. Yu-Jeong seemed to be looking for a specific type of victim. So, with no obvious motivation and to perhaps avoid this from happening in the future, we must delve into who Yu-Jeong is and what she may be battling with within her thoughts. Remember, she confessed to the police that she wanted to know what it was like to murder, and she informed the police that she truly enjoyed viewing true crime documentaries, crime movies, and literature every day, and she even searched for murder on her phone. Hwacha is one of the films she claims to have seen several times and enjoyed. Hwacha is a Korean psychological thriller in which a woman kills another woman and takes her identity, living her entire funny life as the lady she physically killed, which is beginning to sound very similar to what Yu-Jeong attempted. Going back to what she told the police during her first interrogation, she stated that a random suspect was already killing the victim and that the suspect promised her that if she got rid of the body, I'll let you live in the victim's name. She was wearing the victim's clothing while disposing of the victim's body. Her using the tutoring app and viewing the profiles of each person she wished to prey on. It's almost as though she wanted to steal and live as her victim's identity. Could it be that she despised her life so much that the only way out was to live as someone else? As in literally. So forensic testing was performed on her phone, and authorities discovered that from the time she graduated until today, which has been 5 years, she had 0 friends, nearly 0 acquaintances, or anyone with whom she maintained touch. So she was all alone. People discovered she was living with her grandfather, who didn't have a wife, so she didn't even have a grandmother, and no one knows where her parents are. Since she was a child, it looked like it was just her and her grandfather. According to her middle school peers, she was simply a normal, kind, quiet girl in middle school, but she did have friends. They showed her having fun with her friends. Nothing out of the ordinary. She was involved in groups and school activities, so everything appeared fine in middle school until she got to high school. This is when her demeanor began to shift slightly. People noted that she began to intentionally separate herself. They recalled her having a seat near to the window and practically pulling the curtain windows open. She would build a small barrier or barricade so she wouldn't have to see or talk to anyone. Friends would approach her and she would either not reply or respond just with yes and no. And they realized her was eating like food behind her small barricade curtain. But interestingly, she never missed a day of school. Her buddies do not recall anyone taunting her either. This was simply her in her own small universe, which no one could truly comprehend. In elementary and high school, I was also a pretty quiet student. Like I didn't say much and didn't have many friends. I'm sure people assume I couldn't speak because I didn't say anything. I never put up my hand. As a result, I'm sure you can sympathize. There are many people who are simply silent or who are lost in their own world, but Yu-Jeong seemed to be more than just a typical quiet student. Police discovered that she had never worked since graduating from high school and is now 23 years old. However, there is evidence that she attempted to seek for jobs. So when she was 18, she applied to a golf company that was looking for people to work as golf caddies. And in her genuine resume, Yu-Jeong stated, "I enjoy working in a social environment. I'd be thrilled with this position." When called for an interview, the interviewee recalls Yu-Jeong specifically because she did not speak at all during the interview. The interviewer would inquire, "Why do you want this job? What kind of person are you?" Whatever. And Yu-Jeong would only say yes or no. As a result, there was no back and forth discourse. Even after such an unpleasant interview, Yu-Jeong would reapply 2 or 3 times more. When she didn't get a call, she supposedly called a golf firm. She became irritated and began cursing at them for not hiring her. If you look closely at the resume, you will notice that she desired another place to reside, such as a dorm, while working at this location. So after accumulating all of this material, professionals conclude that what happened was that she desperately wanted to leave her house. She was desperate to get out of her life and situation. She couldn't express herself anymore, no matter what troubles or issues she was going through. Nonetheless, she desired to leave. She wished she could be someone else. She just couldn't figure out who she was. And it was almost as if getting a job, earning a little money, going out on the home, being a little more sociable and networking, didn't make sense to her. And it appears that the only way she was able to escape her tiny universe and frustration was to embody herself as someone else. I guess she thought this 26-year-old English tutor who was energetic was the ideal prey. She lived on her own, maybe she loved something about this tutor's appearance, and she invited someone else's existence and wished she could just be someone else. She was watching that movie, which was almost exactly what she intended to do. And I believe that after living in this fantasy for so long, she convinced herself that yes, she could do it. As if she actually did this in real life. So it's almost as if she couldn't tell the difference between a movie and real life, or have empathy or a meaningful conversation with her understanding of another individual. There was also a lot of coverage in the media claiming that Yu-Jeong was given a 28 on the psychopath test by the police or whoever. In South Korea, a score of more than 25 indicates that you are a psychopath. However, specialists are now saying that they don't know who did this exam and that it is not yet 100% reliable, since you need to make a deep dive into their past to uncover the true story and motivation of why she did the things she did in order to truly score this test. So they're saying don't rely on the psychopath test just yet when it comes to Yu-Jeong. People began to question if Yu-Jeong was a complete recluse, or do you call it a hitori in Japanese? It's someone who never steps outside of their house. So they eat, sleep, and do everything on the inside. They also have no friends or relationships outside of their own and possibly their family. According to many of them, social anxiety is also a component, and their inner thought world reflects their outer reality of not being able to care for themselves, tidy up, and order their lives. But according to the loners who were interviewed, they frequently blame 100% of their failures on themselves. So going outside and engaging with people is like leaving their load on someone else, which causes them worry. As a result, they would prefer keep things to themselves and never seek assistance. However, Yu-Jeong appears to be a loner as well, as she demonstrated tendencies such as leaving her residence with a backpack. She would return home late at night. Nobody knows what she was up to. But, she was always doing something. And it appears that she wanted to vent her rage on other people by looking for new victims to prey on. As a result, professionals say they don't believe she was a hitori or a loner. Professionals currently believe that what they see in Yu-Jeong is Asperger's syndrome. Now, having the syndrome has nothing to do with her behaving out in a certain way, such as murdering people. This is merely what professionals observe in Yu-Jeong personally, and it is the starting point for them to try to understand her. People with Asperger's syndrome may have trouble socializing with others, and their behavior and thought patterns may be inflexible and repetitive. They also notice certain patterns and tendencies in the way she moves and the way she watches the same type of movie again and over. So that's all we have for now to analyze about her. Hopefully we can learn more about her so that we can understand her and potentially prevent this from happening in the future, so that we can aid individuals who exhibit early indicators like Yu-Jeong. One thing is certain, professionals agree that she is not stupid. I mean, she could make up all these ridiculous lies. When the police arrived, she stated that she needed a lawyer and refused to speak without one. So she appears to know what she's talking about. Again, it appears that she practiced what she intended to say to the public by doing the interview in the media so quickly. And as of now, she appears to be attempting to employ, which is similar to the unconscious acting out of control excuse, which can be used by psychopaths, individuals with mental illnesses, or those who are very inebriated when acting out a certain illegal action to reduce their sentence. At the end of the day, trying to figure out who this woman is remains a difficult task. It's weird how these apps make it so easy to meet people, like dating apps or tutoring apps where we know one-on-one a teacher and a student or parent can meet in whoever's house, and you never know who you're meeting. This instructor met Yu-Jeong thinking she was a good-hearted adolescent who merely wanted to teach someone. She had no connection to the suspect. That's the most bizarre thing, along with the fact that you can meet anyone these days. I'm watching at those CCTV footages of her, and I'm thinking, she just committed the most horrible, cruel thing to someone else, and she's walking around like a normal person. Walking into supermarkets after having killed someone. Can you picture running into her and not knowing what she just did an hour before? Remember to post your comments if there are any new developments. I'll keep you posted. Thank you for viewing, and I'll see you in my future video.